This is QTV News and I am Jenna Bosonko. Thank you for joining us. First, the local, business and international news headlines. In local news, President Adama Barrow presides over the second cabinet session of 2020. A national early warning system is among matters discussed. In what is becoming a crowded field, another political party joins the fray as it receives official certification. How can we combat the discrimination and stigmatization against psychiatric patients? We find out from the School of Nursing. In business news, how can we all do our bit to help the environment? We look at recycling on 2 wheels in Ivory Coast. And devastating drought in Southern Africa, the economies of 16 countries affected. In international news, today marks 61 years since Patrice Lumumba was assassinated. Growing food in sacks, how urban dwellers in Ghana grow their own. How did an Ivorian schoolboy end up dead on a French airport runway? Those are our top stories, and now the news in detail. Stay with us. First, the local news in detail. President Adama Barrow on Thursday presided over the second cabinet session of 2020. The session deliberated several issues, including the revitalization of cooperatives, regulation of veterinary services, establishment of a national early warning system, among other matters. Aliu Cisse has the rest of that.
It was the second cabinet session this year as cabinet members gathered at the seat of the presidency to discuss, among several issues, a paper presented by the Vice President on the establishment of a National Center for the Coordination of an Early Warning Response Mechanism in the Gambia. Ibrahim Silla, the Gambia's Information Minister, in a statement after the meeting, said the establishment of the center is part of broader ECOWAS initiatives established under the 1999 ECOWAS Protocol relating to conflict prevention, management, resolution, peacekeeping and security.
Part of the responsibilities of the National Early Warning Center is to enhance proximity policing and early response at local and national levels, and also minimize the issues associated with the current over-centralized regional response mechanisms. The objectives of the establishment of the National Early Warning Coordinating Center is to ensure the systematic monitoring and reporting of early warning indicators to provide real-time information for appropriate action to be taken by the government, to build synergies between the national, regional and continental institutions for more coherent response to crisis, and to facilitate the collection, dissemination, analysis of data and raising alerts where necessary on issues that affect people's well-being.
The Minister of Agriculture, Ami Fabre, presented a paper proposing the transformation of cooperatives in the existing agribusiness service unit of the Ministry of Agriculture. The attempt at transforming the cooperatives is inspired by a study commissioned by the World Bank Agriculture Value Chain Development Project, the FAO, and Agriculture for Economic Growth Project to enhance production and marketing of agricultural produce.
The revitalization of cooperatives under the Agribusiness Services Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture is expected to create great opportunities to address timely access to inputs, marketing and value addition. It is also expected to help the regulation and management of farmer cooperatives. The initiative also support and provide mechanisms to monitor and evaluate the quality of activities and programs in the entire Ministry of Agriculture for effective decision-making on cooperative matters.
According to Minister Silla, the Minister of Agriculture had also presented a cabinet paper proposing for the enactment of a bill to provide for the effective regulation of the veterinary services through livestock health protection, food safety, animal and human welfare, and international trade standards.
The new bill seeks to replace the existing veterinary legislation, which is considered outdated and inadequate to meet the current challenges affecting the livestock subsector.
A cabinet paper for the enactment of the plant health bill was also presented by the Minister of Agriculture. The bill provides the legislative support in establishing a modern plant protection organization to appropriately and adequately deal with production gaps in agriculture. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliu Cisse.
A certificate of registration was on Friday presented to the newly formed All People's Party by the Independent Electoral Commission at the Commission's headquarters in Kanifing. QTV's Ansumana Isonyasi has the rest of that.
As the country anticipates elections next year, the Independent Electoral Commission confirms the registration of another political party. The latest to join the political fray is the All People's Party, headed by Dr. Ali Gumbo Toure. Addressing APP officials at the presentation ceremony marking the official confirmation of the party's formal registration, IC Chairman Alhaji Ali Momanjai says his office is always open for clarification, especially on matters concerning political parties. He also reminded the new political party of its obligations as required by law and encouraged women to participate in politics. Accompanied by party executives and sympathizers, the Interim Secretary General of the All People's Party, Dr. Ali Gumbo Toure, says the party was formed by concerned Gambians whose prime objective is to bring development to the doorstep of every Gambian.
It all started on the 10th of November 2018, when a group of Gambians in a normal discussion session held at Sinchu village lamented about the perennial problems prevailing in the country, including inadequacy of health care, deplorable environmental conditions, poor infrastructure, and so forth.
While emphasizing the party's readiness to participate in political activities, Dr. Toure says the APP recognizes all religious denominations in the country. He called for the promotion of peace and stability for the greater good.
We hereby call on the citizenry to please come forward and be part of us. Please come forward and be part of a great party to come. However, we caution to say we are mindful that we want virtuous Gambians, those who want and stand for the truth, believe in social and legal justice, respect for human rights, to be hardworking and have the readiness to pave a new path to national development and progress.
He reveals that the party's ambitions include revamping the national economy, placing greater emphasis on key tenets of development such as education, health, agriculture, tourism, and particularly youth employment, and giving national security an important consideration. Ansmane Sonyasi, 4K TV News.
The Gambia College School of Nursing and Midwifery on Thursday conducted a sensitization program via psychodrama to highlight various psychiatric conditions. The aim is to prevent the wide range of stigma and discrimination against psychiatric patients. Ajibintu Jame was there and she fastened the report.
The program was organized by the students of the 2018 psychiatric module intake after 3 weeks of theory and 7 weeks of practicals experience in different psychiatric units at Tanka Psychiatric Hospital. The event also seeks to sensitize students and the public on psychiatric conditions such as bipolar disorder, Alzheimer's disease, depression, epilepsy and autism, amongst others, to prevent and give care to family members suffering from mental illnesses. Fode Jaula, matron at Tanka Psychiatric Hospital, highlights the importance of the event for students to develop an interest in and become psychiatrists. He further adds that, although not many Gambians study the profession, it is nevertheless essential to do so, as the statistics on instances of mental illness are on the rise.
To encourage other people who may have a negative feeling towards mental health to develop interest, because these are our brothers and sisters, and they definitely deserve to be treated well. So if people are not showing interest to take care of them, who are going to take care of them?
A stage performance was done to give an explanation and symptoms of various psychiatric conditions.
Hey, what is happening? What is smelling? So it's like she is having olfactory hallucination. It is a distorted perception of smell in the absence of real olfactory stimuli.
Sekou Sane, a student that manifested the symptoms of malapropism, explained the causes. He says the event is important because he gained a lot of experience during training. He further gives a piece of advice, most especially to family members.
Malapropism, which is saying of words or phrases which are not connected. In the country here, we were at the Tanka and other psychiatric clinics, and then we have found that many of the nurses are not pursuing this mental and psychiatric health because the issue is that so when you talk to them they will say because mental and psychiatric health is nothing. So when you are even engaged on this, people say, look at you, you're not dof, you are treating doves. And then some family members believe that if an individual is focused on mental and psychiatric health, it can, like, the person can adopt the signs and symptoms of their patients.
Kadi Bojang, also a student and an aspiring psychiatrist that also manifested the symptoms of circumstantiality disorder, gives a brief explanation of the illness. She also gives a piece of advice.
This is a symptom whereby the patient tend to say things that are indirectly. Like in a situation whereby you ask the patient, what is your name or where are you from? The person have to say things that the person have done, just saying unnecessary talks that are not even important.
A psychiatric disorder is a mental illness diagnosed by a mental health professional that greatly disturbs your thinking, moods, and or behavior, and seriously increase your risk of disability, pain, death, or loss of freedom. In the Gambia, the prevalence of psychiatric conditions is on the rise according to WHO. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
A check of more than $2 million was handed to the Ministry of Health on Tuesday by the Gambia Red Cross Society in collaboration with Soul Health and UB1. The story is written by Lamin Dabo and narrated by myself. The money is meant to sponsor 45 community health nursing students in Mansa Konko and also to renovate the school facility. The 45 sponsored nursing students are enrolled at the Community Health Nurse School in Mansa Konko. The event is in line with the objectives of the humanitarian organization's healthcare support and strengthening project to support the health sector by complementing government's efforts. The Secretary General of the International Red Cross, Alaji RC, expresses his continuing support to the Gambia Red Cross in their relentless effort to help the health sector. He also spoke of the need for effective and efficient partnerships.
A humanitarian response is a journey, and that journey will never stop. As long as we are united where we all belong to, and that is the one humanity we all share. There will always be people in need, and among those needs we account health is key, and nurses, particularly at the community level, are extremely important, and that has to be renewed. It is a long-term partnership that we're engaging in together with other partners, and that will not stop in one check, it will not stop in one training, but it is a continuous program which we hope will be leading to more success and more opportunities for other community health nurses, to be benefiting from.
The Soul Health and UB1 Country Project Manager Amadou Drame explains the reason for presenting the check to the Health Ministry.
We handed over a check of $2,205,000 to Minister of Health, which is geared towards supporting 45 new CHNs currently on the program. The Health Strengthening and Healthcare Project in the Gambia has 3 initiatives to start with. And one of them is to revitalize or help in the revitalization of primary healthcare unit or primary healthcare strategy, and then the second one is to provide potable water supply, and the final one is to promote environmental sanitation.
The Healthcare Support and Strengthening Project Coordinator Fatou Bigay says their intervention areas are the top priority needs of the people, amongst them to relieve people from vulnerability. She calls on Gambians to support the Red Cross in the implementations of their programs and activities.
We are supporting the training of 45 CHNs to graduate in the next 2 years so that they can be posted in URR, so that capacity of those communities will be raised. If you have nurses within the community, they will be able to alleviate certain problems which we are out into. We are out to alleviate human suffering. You have a nurse within the community, a pregnant woman is there about to deliver, she will be delivered by a qualified nurse. The people giving us money are not Gambians. They are contributing within themselves to give us what they earn. We as Gambians, we should try as much as possible to support the Gambia Red Cross to be able to implement, because whenever there is a problem, it is the Red Cross that people first call. So if you want me to help you, you need to help me to be able to help you when the need comes.
The Gambia Red Cross Society's Healthcare Support and Strengthening Project started in 2019 and has identified 30 hard-to-reach communities in both Central and Upper River region, where boreholes will be constructed to provide clean and safe drinking water to the communities. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Basonko. Gambisara Health Center over the weekend held its annual data presentation and award ceremony for 2019. The aim was to inform the people of the catchment area on health delivery outcomes and award outstanding staffs and individuals. This story is by Babakar Sise and narrated by Bintu Koka.
Established over 30 years ago, this is the first ever data presentation and award ceremony organized by the staff of Gambisara Health Center and was initiated by the officer in charge. Presenting a report on maternal and child health services, outpatient cases, referrals, laboratory services, tuberculosis and leprosy, the officer in charge of Gambisara Health Center, Lamin Jata, says the health center has less than 10 health workers, but caters for over 40,000 people. Describing it as the biggest health center in Jimara district, the officer in charge says there is a labor ward with 3 beds, patients admission area with 8 beds, an OPD, a pharmacy, a lab, TB and leprosy office and staff accommodation. Also, 63 women trained in caring for pregnant mothers are always on standby to help women, he added. Dr. Grant Mackenzie, a clinical epidemiologist and pediatrician at the Medical Research Council, explains that the 10-year pneumonia vaccine project in collaboration with the Ministry of Health was very successful, as it has drastically reduced pneumonia in children. However, he stressed that the vaccine is very expensive. Dr. Mackenzie added that a new project is underway.
So working with the Ministry of Health, in collaboration, we are just starting a new project with the pneumococcal vaccine, and we want to look at a new schedule. The current schedule has 3 doses, and we want to evaluate an alternative schedule it has 1 early dose and 1 later dose to see if they have the same effect as the standard schedule. So from Koina to Jahali, we are working in every RCH clinic in collaboration with the primary healthcare staff in all of the health facilities in that area.
The regional principal nursing officer in URR, Ibrahim Balde, says the gathering is all about health, as health is paramount in our lives. He added that the data presentation is an opportunity for health workers to reflect on the successes and challenges of the past year and plan ahead for the future. He urges the community to participate in blood donation exercises to save lives and also support women and children. Certificates were awarded to outstanding staff and individuals who contributed so much in healthcare delivery at the health center. The nurse who stole the show was Umisar, who shed tears of joy as she received an award for the most outstanding staff and the best midwife of the year 2019. The officer in charge of Gambisara Health Center, Lamin Jata, thanked the Alcalo and the chief of Gambisara and all those who contributed towards the success of the event, especially the local community and the Gambisara diaspora. Bintu Koka, QTV News.
Well, congratulations to the outstanding staff. Now let's shift our attention to business news. Welcome back. Now the business news in detail. A startup in Ivory Coast is using an app to organize household trash pickup in the coastal city of Grand Bassam. The company recycles whatever it can and customers are rewarded with points to buy mobile data or snacks. Devastating drought in Southern Africa. Drought is having a serious effect on the agricultural and livestock sectors. The impact is being felt across 16 Southern African countries, including Zimbabwe, Mozambique and Angola. We will now go with a short commercial break, and when we return in international news, it's 61 years since Patrice Lumumba was assassinated, and how did an Ivorian schoolboy end up dead on a French airport runway? Join us after the break for these stories and more, as well as some sports news.
QCell is at it again with its brand new free mobile app.
Oh yes! Now you can access the wonderful world of QCell with the new app and get all your favorite services on the app. There's no need to remember any codes.
Fantastic! No more codes. And even better, with the new app, you can live stream QTV and listen to Q Radio on your phone anywhere, anytime.
Yes, listen to Q Radio Live, purchase your Q Power tokens, use your Q Money wallet, and do much more, all for free on the app.
Go now and download the app for free from Play Store or the App Store.
And you can get 30 days free QTV streaming once you download the app. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's because it's QCell, the network you trust for great things. QCell, a decade of innovation.
A lifetime of trust.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. Now let's shift our attention to international news. Patrice Lumumba, an uncompromising independence fighter and the man who led DR Congo to independence, was assassinated 61 years ago today. Despite being killed, his example inspired many way beyond the borders of his country. Patrice Lumumba became prime minister when Congo was still under Belgian colonial rule. After his death, the country was renamed Zaire and more recently the Democratic Republic of Congo. In Ghana, a sort of urban space inspires creativity. In urban Ghana, farming land is scarce or non-existent. This has not deterred city dwellers who are filling sacks with fertile soil to grow food to feed their families. That is a very creative move. Now, how did an Ivorian schoolboy end up dead on a French airport runway? The boy was a young boy who dreamed of adventure. However, his dreams turned to tragedy as he died after soaring away on a plane from Abidjan to Paris. Friends say all he dreamt of was to travel the world. May his soul rest in perfect peace. So we'll now shift our attention to sports. Welcome back, viewers. We now go over to my colleague, Aliou Cisse, for some sports news. Aliou, what do you have for us today?
Thank you very much, Jay. We're starting with athletics because one of Gambia's athletes, Adama Barrow, is quite not a happy man with the current state of the athletic tracks at Independence Stadium due to what he describes as little that is being done to preserve these athletic tracks at Independence Stadium. In a Facebook post from his base in Dakar, the athletes posted, "Really going out of hand. Are those concerns more important than the athlete's career? From trucks on the track to the stage on the track." So the athletes is really not happy with the way social events, of course, we've realized that over the years, Independence Stadium has been the only venue for most of these concerts. And then it's really causing damages to these tracks, which is the only tracks that the country has at the moment. So he's really frustrated, and then he's hoping that the authorities will really consider preserving these athletic tracks, which actually was brought in 2016 to help address the issue of having athletes to travel to Dakar for training. So Adama Barrow is quite frustrated, and then he's hoping that the authorities will really look into this issue as soon as possible. From there, we move to Ouagadougou because, as we understand, the Gambia national women under-20 team has finally arrived in Ouagadougou for the first leg of the World Cup qualifiers against Burkina Faso to be played on Saturday. So the team, according to what we understand, is in a high spirit, and they're looking forward to winning the game on Saturday. To league football, breaking news, the Gambia Football Federation has announced that it is cancelling all league games on Sunday, as it is over there called security concern, even though we understand it has to do with the planned protest by the 3 years journal. So in a nutshell, all league games slated for Sunday has been cancelled by the Gambia Football Federation. Jenna, but that's all we have.
Yeah, I think the cancellation is quite unfortunate, but I believe it can be done at a later date. So talking about athletics in the Gambia, do you think athletes are given the proper support that they need generally?
I mean, this is one of the projects that were actually ushered in during the former government in collaboration with the GNOC and then the international partners to ensure that athletes are provided with tracks to have them trained at home rather than traveling to Dakar, because we understand a lot of money was being spent to have these athletes travel to Dakar to train. And now having this multi-million dollars track just in less than 5 years starting to get destroyed by nothing but social events is something that, I mean, the independent stadium management and even the governments really step in to ensure that it is stopped, because this is the only athletic trust that we have in the whole country, and it will be so disappointing to have it destroyed as soon as possible, even though we understand the athletic trust came with a 20 years guarantee. But as it is now, it's really frustrating and then discouraging to see that the athletic trust has started getting destroyed by events, of course, the concerts that have been organized at the Independence Stadium.
Yeah, I think a separation is very, very necessary in order to keep these things properly. Thank you so much, Ali, for that. We really appreciate it. Now, before we end this news bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stories. In local news, President Adama Barrow presides over second cabinet session of 2020. A national early warning system is matters among the discussed. In what is being a quieter field, another political party joins the fray as it receives official certification. How can we combat the discrimination and stigmatization against psychiatric patients? We find out from the School of Nursing. In business news, how can we all do our bit to help the environment? We look at recycling on 2 wheels in Ivory Coast. And a devastating drought in Southern Africa, the economies of 16 countries affected. In international news, today marks 61 years since Patrice Lumumba was assassinated. Growing food in sacks, how do urban dwellers in Ghana grow their own? How did an Ivorian boy end up dead on a French airport runway? Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Join us tomorrow, same time for more news. Thanks for watching.